In this section we will talk about circle. Okay, we'll try to find the equation of circle, we will try to find the center of a circle, radius of a circle, and also we will be talking about finding the distance between 2 points and finding the midpoint of a line segment. Okay, so let's take any 2 points. Okay, so we have a first point, let me call point P, and the coordinate of this point P is x1 y1. x1 y1 is the coordinate. Okay, x1 is the x coordinate, y1 is the y coordinate, and we have a second point somewhere here, let me call it Q, and the coordinate of this point is x2 y2. Now if we connect these 2 points we get a straight line. Okay, now here our target is finding distance d between these 2 points P and Q, and the distance formula is, our d is a distance, and this distance formula is x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. Okay, so this is the distance formula, and we use this distance formula to find the distance between any 2 points. Okay, so we call our first point as x1 y1, we call second point as x2 y2. Once you have x1 y1 x2 y2, you substitute in the distance formula, and this formula will be given to you on your exam, so no need to memorize. We will do an example, and before that let's go to the midpoint. Okay, now here in the same, so here, so let me draw that line one more time. So we have a line PQ, so PQ is our straight line, and we have a point, middle point. Okay, so we have a middle point, so midpoint between these 2 points, let me call that M. Okay, and this midpoint, what it does, it divides the line segment into 2 equal parts, right? So if you are asked to find the midpoint, the coordinate of midpoint, then our coordinate of midpoint M is the average of x coordinate. So you add x coordinate, divide by 2, and average of y coordinate, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so finding midpoint means we are finding the point which divide a line segment into 2 equal parts. Okay, now here we have an example. We are asked to find distance between 2 points 3, -5 and 6, 1. So let's take this point as a 3, -5. We have our second point 6, 1, and we are asked to find distance between these 2 points. So our target is finding the length of this line segment, or we are finding the distance between these 2 points. For that, let's call our first point as a x1 y1. So you call first point as a x1 y1, second point as a x2 y2. If you compare, what do we have for x1? Our x1 is 3, y1 is -5, x2 is 6, y2 is 1. Now we know x1 y1 x2 y2. We substitute these values in our distance formula. D equals to square root x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. So this is square root, our x2 is 6, so 6 minus x1, x1 is 3, parenthesis square, plus our y2 is 1 minus y1 is -5. Make sure that -5 is inside parenthesis, and square. Now, so this is 6 minus 3, that is 3 square, plus 1 minus time -5, that is 1 plus 5 square. So 3 square is 9, 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 square is 36, square root 36 plus 9, that is 45. So 45 is the distance between these 2 points. Okay. So you call first point as a x1, y1, second point as x2, y2, and substitute those x1, y1, x2, y2 in the distance formula. Any question in finding distance formula? Okay.
That's the answer?
Yes. Square root of 45 is the final answer.
Okay, we don't have like divided like 3, 3, 10.
Okay. Now, if you want to simplify, I think yes. So here we can rewrite 45 as a 3 times 3 times 5, right? So this is 3 square times 5. Now 3 has a square, so we can write 3 outside and 5 under the radical sign. And you can, yeah. But if you have square root of 45, still that's fine. Okay. Or if you want to use a decimal, write your answer in decimal using calculator, still that's okay. So this is the distance between these 2 points. And in part B, we are asked to find the midpoint of the line joining these 2 points. Okay. So here, so our now target is finding the midpoint. So we have a middle point. Okay. So let's call this midpoint as a M. So we have to find the coordinate of this middle point M. Okay. And the coordinate is, so the is, you take the average of x coordinate. Average of x coordinate means x1 plus x2 divided by 2, and average of y coordinate y1 plus y2 divided by 2. And this formula will be given to you. Now you substitute x1, x2. x1 is 3 plus x2 is 6 divided by 2. y1 is negative 5 plus y2 is 1 divided by 2. This is 3 plus 6, 9. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. Negative 5 plus 1, that is negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And this midpoint, it has to be in an order pair form, okay? It must be inside the parenthesis. This is a point. This is the one middle point on that line segment, okay? And it has to be in a coordinate form. Okay, so this is how we can find the distance of between any 2 points and the middle point of a line segment. Any question up to here? I mean, here. Yeah, I copied this distance formula, okay? So you must have this distance formula, and I copied here. Okay, next here, what we have here is that so in next page, we have the equation of a circle in a standard form. Okay, so here we will talk about the circle and its equation. Okay, so how do we define a circle? So let's take a fixed point here. Okay, so we have a fixed point here, and let me call this point as a C. The coordinate of this fixed point is HK. Okay, our H is the x coordinate of this point C, and K is the y coordinate. Now from this fixed point, okay, let's take another point at some distance r. So we have this point, okay, and this distance is r. Okay, now similarly, let's collect the other point at a same distance r. So let's say we have this point at a distance r. Okay, in the similar way, if you now here, so this point is also at a distance r. Okay, so we have this point at a distance r, we have this point at a distance r, this point at a distance r, So this point at a distance r, this point at a distance r. So we have a fixed point, and from that fixed point, if we collect every point which is at a fixed distance, which is at a equal distance, and if we connect all these points together, we get a circle. Okay, we have a center as a fixed point, and from that center, if we collect every points, okay, which is at a distance r from that fixed point, then that collection of points make a circle. Okay, now here our target is finding the equation of this circle. Okay, so let's take our circle has a center hk. Okay, so hk is the coordinate of a point, of center point. Okay, and we have r as a radius. Okay, then the set of all points x, y. So here this equation, x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square, this equation give us the equation of circle. Okay, so if we have a center, if we have a radius r, then we use this equation or this formula to find the equation of circle. Okay, to find the equation of circle, we always need a center. Okay, center is hk. We need to know the value of hk, and we need to know the radius of circle. And if we know the coordinate of a center of a circle and a radius of that circle, we can always find the equation, and we use this formula. Here we have an example. So the center, so we need to find the standard equation of a circle with a center at 3, -2. So this is the center. Okay, and we use hk to represent this center. So center hk is equals to 3, -2. So this is center, and the radius of circle r is 5. So we have a center hk 3, -2, radius is 5. Now if you compare hk and 3, -2, what is h equals to? H is x coordinate. It means h is x coordinate. So our h is 3 and k is y coordinate of a center. K is -2. So you have h, you have k, you have r. Now you substitute these values in our formula. Okay, so our formula is x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. Do not substitute anything for x and y. So we have x minus h. Our h is 3 square plus y minus k. K is -2. Make sure to have parentheses. Square equals to r square. Our r is 5 and we have a square. Now let's simplify this. We have x minus 3 square plus y minus time -2 plus 2 square equals to 5 square is 25. And this is the equation of circle. Okay, and this form we call it standard form. So this formula is a standard form. Okay, so if you have your equation of circle in x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square, that is the standard form of equation of circle. So every time if you are asked to find the equation of circle, you need to know the center, you need to know the radius, and we use hk, okay, to represent our center. So this is how we represent center in general. Okay, now if we want to draw a circle, so sketch a graph of this circle, how do we sketch? So we need a Cartesian coordinate system, right? So this is our x-axis, this is our y-axis, this is origin. Now let's start by center, plotting a center. Our center is 3, -2. So how do we plot 3, -2? So 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, right? So -1, -2, -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so where is 3, -2? So we go 3 on the right from origin, 1 2 3, and 2 unit down. So this is our center. Okay, so this is 3 negative 2, and our radius is 5. Now from this center, let's find few more points. Okay, so radius is 5 means what is the radius? So if, okay, now if we have a circle, this is our center, and what is, so this is our center, what is the radius of this circle? Radius is the distance from this center to one point on this circumference, on this circle, right? So this is our r. So if you take this distance, it's also r. So every distance from center to that circumference is r. So this is also r. Now using, since our radius is 5, now let's find few more points. Okay, so from this point, let's go 5 unit up, because 5 is the radius. So 1 2 3 4 5. So we have 1 point here. So let's go 5 unit on the right, left, and down. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5. So this is the 1 point, 1 2, okay, 3 4 5. So we have one more point here, 1 2 3 4 5. Then we have one more point here. So you, at least you find 4 more points, okay, which is at a distance of radius. Now you connect all these points and make a circle, and that is your graph. Okay, so how we can, okay, now you don't need to be, you don't need to have a perfect circle, but make sure you connect. Okay, close enough. Okay, so at least find 4 points on that circle. Okay, so first plot up center, and from that center use the radius and find at least 4. If you want to find more points, you can do that, but find at least 4 points. 1 point on the left, 1 point on the right, 1 point on the down, and 1 point up. Okay, and connect all those 4 points and make it circle. So this is a graph for this circle. Okay, any question up to here? Now let me take that equation. Okay, so let me take that equation of circle one more time. X minus 3 square plus y plus 2 square equals to 25. This is the standard form. Okay, now let's simplify here. Let's get rid of this square. So we can rewrite x minus 3 square as a x minus 3 times x minus 3. We can rewrite y plus 2 square as y plus 2 times y plus 2, and equals to, we have 25. Now let's use FOIL and simplify. So x times x, we have x square, x times minus 3, that is minus 3x, negative 3 times x, that is negative 3x, negative 3 times negative 3, that is positive 9. In the similar way, let's use FOIL. Y times y, that is y square, y times positive 2, that is positive 2y, positive 2 times y, positive 2y, positive 2 times positive 2, positive 4, equals to 25. Now we look for the like terms. So we have x square, these two are like terms, negative 6x, then 9 and 4, these are like terms, right? 9 plus 4, 13. Then we have a y square, this and this is like term, plus 4y equals to 25. Okay, now we do have more like terms. So 25 and 13 are a like term. So let's make 0 on the right side. You subtract 25. Okay, so our equation of circle looks like this: x square plus, let me write down this, y square, then minus 6x plus 4y, 13 minus 25, that is minus 12, equals to 0. So this is also the equation of same circle. Okay, So this is also equation for the same circle, and we call this equation as a general form. Okay, so this is general form. This is general form. We started with standard form. So this is our standard form. But both of these equations are exactly same. If we graph both of these equations, we get exactly same graph. Both of them have exactly same center and same radius. The only difference is that its form is different. Okay, on your exam you will be asked to write down a standard form. So your equation has to be in x minus 3 square plus y plus 2 square equals to 25 form. And if you are asked to write the equation in general form, then that is simplifying the standard form. Okay, if you simplify standard form and make 0 in one side, you get the general form. Okay, any question? Okay, now so that's what we have in our next topic. Okay, so we have a general form of equation of circle. So here the general form is x square plus y square. So dx is some number. Okay, d, e, f, these are some real number. So if you have your equation like this one, so this is our general form. Okay, now in this example, now we are given this equation of circle. Now what form is this? So we have x squared plus y squared plus 8x minus 2y minus 8 equals to 0. Is it a standard form or general form? General form. Okay, and our target is rewriting this general form in standard form. Writing in a standard form means we must have our equation of circle in this form: x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. So this is the standard form. So we have this general form and we have to write in square form. Okay, standard form. Now for that, the very first step here is that we collect the terms with the same variables. So we have these two terms, so we collect these two terms together. So let's write down x square and 8x together. Okay, then you collect y square, the term with a variable y, together. Okay, so we have y square minus 2y, and take the constant to the other side. It means you get rid of constant, and for that we add 8 on both sides. We get equals to 8. So this is the first step. Okay, you collect the term with x together, you collect the terms with y together, and take the constant to the other side. Okay, this is the first step here. Now second step, it's very similar to completing the square method. Okay, in second step you take the coefficient of x, which is 8, divided by 2, we get 4, square it. Okay, you take the coefficient of x, which is 8, divided by 2, 8 divided by 2, we get 4, square it, and you add this number on both sides of the equation. Okay, and you write down that right next to the 8x. So you are adding 4 square on both sides of the equation. You do the same thing for coefficient of y. You take the coefficient of y, okay, which is 2. You divide it by 2. What do we get? 2 divided by 2, 1. You square this and you add 1 square on both sides. So you are adding 1 square on both sides. Okay, here you have to do for the coefficient of x as well as coefficient of y. Now let me rewrite this equation. So our equation looks like now x squared plus 8x we added 4 square on both sides. Then we have y square minus 2y. We added 1 square on both sides. On the right, we have 8 plus 4 square plus 1 square. You take the coefficient of x divided by 2, square it, add on both sides. Now take the coefficient of y, divide by 2, square it, and add that number on both sides. Okay, and this is the step that we had when we use completing the square method for solving quadratic equation. Okay, any question up to here? Okay, now here we have this trinomial, very similar to what we did earlier. So we have this trinomial. We will rewrite this trinomial as a square of a binomial. Okay, and we will rewrite this trinomial as a square of a binomial. For that, you take x from here. So we have x. You take 4. Do not take square. Okay, you take 4. You take the sign of middle term. So positive and square. Do the similar for next trinomial. You take y. Do not take square. You take y. You take 1 from here. You take the sign of middle term, negative. And do not forget the parenthesis and square. Equals to, so 4 square is 16. So plus 8, that is 24 plus 1, 25. Any question? We are rewriting this trinomial as a square of a binomial. Okay. Now, is this in our standard form? Now, our standard form is x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. So this is the standard form. We need to write in this standard form. So let's compare. So for x, we have x here. Now for minus, we have a positive here. Now how can we rewrite positive 4 using negative sign? Negative times negative 4, right? So this is x. So for this positive 4, let's write negative times negative 4. Make sure to have parentheses. Square. Now for h, we have negative 4. For square, we have square. Plus, we have plus here. Okay, for y, we have y. For negative, we have negative. For k, we have 1. For square, we have square. So that expression is correct. Y minus 1 square equals to, now we have 25, and we need to write that 25 as a square of some number. And how can we rewrite 25 as a square of some number? 5 square, right? 5 square. And this is the equation of circle in standard form. Okay, so this is the equation of circle in standard form. We started with a general form, and we are asked to rewrite that general form in a standard form. Okay. Okay, any question? Okay, let's do one more. Okay, very similar. So let me take a different equation. So let me take an example from our textbook. Okay, so this is 51 from your textbook. Okay, exercise 2.2. We have the general equation x square plus y square minus 6x minus 4y minus 5 equals to 0. So this is the equation of circle in a general form. Now we are rewriting this general form in a standard form and finding the center and a radius. Okay, what is the first step? We write down the terms with same variable together. So we have x square and negative 6x. Both of these has x. So let's write down this together. So we have x square negative 6x. Now the next we have y square and negative 4y. These two expression has a same variable. So we are writing these two together. And we have a constant negative 5. We need to get rid of that negative 5 from left side. So we need to add 5 on both sides. So this is 0 and we have equals to 5. This is the first step. Okay, writing the terms with same variable together and taking constant on the other side. Now next step is we take coefficient of x, which is 6. You take 6 divided by 2. Divided by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Square it and you add this 3 square on both sides. So you are adding 3 square on both sides. You do the same thing for coefficient of y. So we have 4 divided by 2. 4 divided by 2, we have 2, square it and you are adding 2 square on both sides. Our equation looks like, so we have x square minus 6x plus 3 square plus y square minus 4y plus 2 square equals to, on the right side we have 5 plus 3 square plus 2 square. Any question up to here? Make sure to repeat this step for coefficient of x as well as y. Okay, now we have this trinomial. We will write this trinomial as a square of a binomial. For that you take x from here, you take the sign of middle term, you take 3 from here, and we have x minus 3 square, and write down the next trinomial as a square of a binomial. So you take y, you take the sign of middle term, you take 2. Make sure to have inside parentheses, square it. On the right side we have 5 plus 3 square. 3 square is 9, 2 square is 4. So 5 plus 9, 14 plus 4, that is 18. Now let's compare with our standard form. So our standard form is x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. Now, so for x, we have x, right? For negative, we have negative. For h, what do we have? 3, right? So our h is 3. So h is 3. In the similar way, for positive, we have positive. For y, we have y. For negative, we have negative. For k, what do we have? Positive 2. So our value of k is 2. For square, we have square. So for square, we have square here. Now for r square, we have 18. Now how can we rewrite 18 as a square of some number? Square root of 18, right? So we can rewrite 18 as a square root of 18. Isn't that same as 18? So we can cancel this square and square root, we get 18, right? So for square we have square, and for r what do we have? Square root of 18. So our r is square root of 18. So this equation, this circle has a center. So center is 3, 2, hk is the center, and radius is square root of 18. So this is how we can use a standard form to find the center and a radius of a circle. Okay, you will have exactly similar question on your exams. You will be given a general equation. You will be asked to rewrite that general equation in a standard form, and will be asked to find the center and radius. Okay, so make sure to practice these examples. Okay, any question on this part? Next, we do have more examples here. Okay, so we have like 5 more examples. So let's go ahead and do those examples. Okay, the next example here, number 2, we have to find the equation of circle in standard form. Okay, having center 2, 0 and passing through point 2, 5. So let's draw a circle at first. So we have a circle. Now what is this 2, 0? This is the center. Okay, this is the coordinate of center. So we have a center here. So let's call this is center, and the coordinate of this center is 2, 0. And the circle, this circle has to pass through 2, 5. Now where do we find that 2, 5 point on the circle? Is it inside the circle, outside the circle, or on that circle? So we have to find the equation of circle. Okay, this circle has a center 2, 0. So this is center, this point is center, and passing through the point 2, 5. Now where is that 2, 5 point? You mean outside the, is it, do you mean like outside here?
No, it's like straight up.
On the,
It's on the circle.
it has to be on this circle. Okay, you can take, now you don't need to have a perfect location, but make sure your point has to be always on the circle. Okay, you can take here or you can take here. It really doesn't matter. We don't use a coordinate system here, but the point on the circle, so this point passing through means it's always the point on the circle. Okay, so this is on the circle, and this is the coordinate of 2, 5. Or if you like she said, now if you use the Cartesian coordinate system, it is point just above the center, right? So this is 2, 0. This point has to be 2, 5. But you don't need to be perfect. So this is 2, 5. So this is the picture here, and our target is finding the equation of circle in a standard form. Now, to find the equation of a circle in a standard form, what do we need to know? We need to know 2 things. We need to know center, and we need to know the radius. Now, center is given, right? Center is 2, 0. So let's call this center as a HK. Okay, our H is positive 2, K is 0. Now, the next we have to know the radius of this circle. How do we find the radius? It is not given to us. Now, how do we find the radius? So, how do we define the radius? Radius is the distance between center and any point on the circle. So, the distance between this center and this point on the circle is our radius. Okay, so this is radius. Radius is distance between center and any point on the circle. Now, how do we find the radius? So let's find radius using our distance formula. Okay, we have the distance formula. That distance formula gives us the distance between any 2 points. So we have this point 2, 0. We have this second point 2, 5, and our target is finding distance between these 2 points. And in this case, we call this distance as a radius. So we have r, and our formula is same. Okay, it's x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 square. Okay, so let's call our one point as a x1 y1. So let's call this is x1 y1 and this point as a x2 y2. Now you substitute your x1 y1 x2 y2. What is x2? What is x2? x2 is 2, okay? 2 minus x1 is 2 square plus y2 is 0 minus y1 is 5 square. So this is 2 minus 2, 0 is square plus 0 minus 5 minus 5, and do not forget to square negative. So this is 25 and 5. So this is the radius. So radius is 5. So square of negative 5 is positive 25. Okay, not negative 25. It's positive 25. So we have the radius, we know the center. Now let's use the standard form of circle, which is x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. You replace your h, k, r by this value. So we have x as it is minus h. H is 2 square plus y as it is, k is 0 square equals to r is 5 and square. So this is the equation of circle in a standard form. And if you want to simplify one more step, you can simplify. So we can rewrite this as a x minus 2 square plus y minus 0 is y and square equals to 5 square is 25. So if you have this expression, this is also in a standard form. Okay, so every time if you are finding the equation of a circle, you always need a center, you always need a radius. Okay, center is hk, the x coordinate of center is h, y coordinate of center is k. Okay, and radius is r. And once you have hkr, replace that hkr on the formula by those values, we get the equation of circle. Okay, and this standard form will be given to you, the formula will be given to you. Okay, any question? Okay, now the next we have this equation. Okay, so we have this equation x squared plus y squared equals to 36. Now our target is finding the radius and center. Okay, so if you are given equation of circle and you are asked to find center and radius, then you always need to rewrite this equation in a standard form. Now how can we rewrite this equation in our standard form? So this is the standard form here. How can we rewrite?
It's 4.
So we have x squared. Now how can we rewrite this expression in terms of x minus some number square? So how can we rewrite x square as a x minus some number? Okay, now can we rewrite x as a x minus 0 square? Is it same thing? Right, let's do same thing for y square. So y square is same as y minus 0 square. Okay, now 36 is square of 6. Now let's compare with our standard form, x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. So this is the standard form. Now if we compare for x, we have x, for negative we have negative, for h what do we have? So our h is 0. What is k? For k we have 0. What is r? R is 6. So radius of a circle is 6, center is 0 0. So center is 0 0. So center is 0 0, radius is 6. So 0 0 means what point is this on our Cartesian coordinate system? It is the origin, right? The intersecting point where y-axis and x-axis meet. So finding radius and a center from equation of circle, you always need to rewrite in a standard form. Okay, then you find HK, so that HK together makes a center and R is the radius. Okay, next here we have this graph of a circle. We are asked to find the equation of a circle. Okay, to find the equation we need a center. Center is given to us as -1, -1, and we call our center as a HK. So this is H, X coordinate is H, Y coordinate is K. Okay, so our H is -1, K is -1. Now what we need to find the equation of circle? We have a center, and what is the next feature we need? We need to know the radius. So let's find the radius. Now how do we find the radius here? How we define radius? Radius is a distance between center of a circle and any point on the circle. So we have this some point on the circle, and this distance is the radius. Okay, so we use the distance formula to find the radius. So here our R is, we use the distance formula. The distance formula is x2 minus x1 square plus y2 minus y1 is square. Okay, let's call this point as a x1, y1, and let's call this our second point is center. Let's call x2, y2. Now you replace all this by this number. Our x2 is -1 minus x1 is -1 square plus y2, that is -1 minus y1. Y1 is -3. Parenthesis is square. So this is -1 minus times -1 plus 1 square plus, we have a -1, negative times -3, positive 3 square. So this is -1, positive 1, 0 square is 0, right? -1 plus 3, that is positive 2, and its square is 4, so R is 2. Radius is 2. Our target is finding the equation of circle. Now what do we use? We use a standard form of an equation of circle. So x minus h square plus y minus k square equals to r square. So x as it is, h is -1 plus y as it is, k is -1 equals to r is 2 square. Let's simplify one more. X negative times -1, positive 1 square plus y plus 1 square equals to 4. And this is the equation of a circle in a standard form. Now it does not mention what form you need to have. It's fine if you leave it as a standard form. Okay.